Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari confirms that he's seeking another term in elections next year, ending months of speculation about his future after bouts of ill health. Also, I'm joined by Dr. Edna Adan Ismail. The former foreign minister for the autonomous region of Somaliland was also Somalia's first nurse midwife who went on to found a renowned maternity hospital, spearhead campaigns for education and against female genital mutilation, and oversee peace talk efforts between Somalia and her homeland. And we head to the Sahara to take a closer look at a hotly contested race. Over 1,000 people from 49 countries take part in Morocco's 33rd Sand Marathon. But first, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has confirmed that he will be running again in next year's elections. The 75-year-old's hoping to get the backing of the ruling APC party to seek another term. Buhari came to power in 2015, vowing to crack down on Boko Haram insurgents. Now, that campaign has met with some success, but the militants do remain a threat in the northeast of the country. During his time in office, the country also fell into recession, and last year there were concerns about Buhari's fitness for office after he spent months out of the country being treated in London. Our correspondent, Sam Olukoya, joins us now with more. Sam, is it a surprise that he's announced his desire to run again, considering just how much of the year he spent out of the country last year?
I mean, he was away for so many months. People were concerned about his age. People were concerned about his ability to continue in office. Indeed, before he was even voted into office at the age of 72 or thereabout, he himself said he's not sure he will go for a second term. So a number of Nigerians were hoping that, given his experience of not being able to be in office for several months, taking treatment abroad, he might decide to take a rest. But now he's indicated that he's going to run for a second term.
So what do you think his chances are? What's your sense of where Buhari stands in overall public opinion at the moment?
Within minutes after he declared his interest to seek re-election, the stock market dropped by a 3-month low. I mean, that's an indication that it's not altogether popular. And also, he's lost a lot in the south-down part of the country. Many in the south believe he's served the interests of the north. Many believe he's a bit sectional. So he has really lost a lot of goodwill. The level of goodwill he had before he was voted in, he's really lost that. But whether he will win the election is another thing entirely. I think it's one thing for a president not to be popular. It's another thing to have a strong person to defeat him. As we speak today, I don't think of any party that is strong enough to defeat his party, and I can't think of any candidate that might be strong enough to defeat him. We don't know. I mean, we still have a little less than a year to go. So maybe something could happen. There could be changes. We don't know. But as of today, I think he seems to have a very good chance of winning.
Thanks very much. Sam Olukoya there for us in Lagos. Look now at some other news. On Monday, Uganda's Constitutional Court began hearing a case against a law that removed a 75-year-old age limit to the presidency. Opposition politicians and the Bar Association are challenging the legislation which was passed in December. It was widely seen as a move to allow current leader, 73-year-old Yoweri Museveni, to run again when his term expires in 2021. He's been in office since 1986. And in DR Congo, 6 people have been killed in an attack in Virunga National Park. 5 of the victims are park rangers. The 6th is reportedly a driver. Virunga is home to critically endangered mountain gorillas. There's not been any immediate claim of responsibility yet, but authorities have blamed militia groups operating in the area. They've been accused of controlling the poaching industry and deforestation to support the rebellions. Well, with me next is Dr. Edna Adan Ismail. She's a former foreign minister for the semi-autonomous region of Somaliland, a former Somali First Lady, and a renowned activist working to improve healthcare and education in her homeland. She has a particular focus on stopping female genital mutilation. Trained in the UK, she became Somalia's first qualified nurse midwife and in 2002 founded her own maternity hospital in Somaliland. Now, it sought independent recognition as a separate state from Somalia since 1991. That's not yet happened, but in practice, it does operate autonomously from Somalia and is in many ways far more functional as a country. Dr. Ismail, thanks so much for coming in to see us.
It's a pleasure.
First of all, do you think that Somaliland is any closer to being recognised than when you were foreign minister in the mid-2000s?
Yes, of course. Every day brings improvements in Somaliland. It brings development. It brings investments. It brings the return of its people from the diaspora to set up businesses and bring their families home. And every day it proves to the world that Somaliland is a functioning country, a country that deserves recognition for all the achievements it has been able to bring during the time that it has separated from Somalia 28 years ago.
Talking about investment, Somaliland's increasingly aligning itself with Dubai. It's agreed a deal to build a naval base in Berbera and run a port for DP World, which I believe is majority owned by the government of UAE. Deals like this must cause tension with Somalia. Is it worth the stress?
Well, Somaliland has been going alone since it separated from Somalia. And of course, anything that brings improvement and democracy and development and economic growth in Somaliland is not going to please some neighboring Somalia, which has done everything in its power during the war to bomb and kill civilians in Somaliland. And since we separated from Somalia, it has continued to deny Somaliland its right to its own self-determination, to do business where it wishes to do business, when Somalia itself has not been able to run its own country and bring about any peace in Somalia. By contrast, Somaliland has been doing business with many nations. The port of Berbera is one of the oldest ports at the mouth of the Red Sea for centuries, and it has been the lifeline for Somaliland for the past 29 years. Of course, doing business because Somaliland is at the mouth of the Red Sea. It has a great country, Ethiopia, which is landlocked as a neighbor, which relies on imports either from Djibouti or Somaliland and the ports in the Horn of Africa. Somaliland has that potential to be an economic country that is...
Regardless of objections from Mogadishu, they don't appear to be going very far.
Mogadishu will continue to object anything that is good and democratic in neighboring Somaliland.
You were also named special representative for peace talks between the two governments, between Somalia and Somaliland.
Yes.
Both countries have relatively recently, got new leaders. Has that changed anything in terms of the dynamics of the peace talks?
It has not, because Somalia continues to maintain its stand that it owns Somaliland, when in fact it does not. I mean, Somaliland was former British Somaliland protectorate, where Somalia has been the former Italian Somalia.
That's
two
why
independent
it's
countries.
Self-declared.
It's two independent countries. Somaliland is the one that was independent first. In fact, when Somaliland was independent from Britain, Somalia was still an Italian colony. So it's not one country that owns the other. There were two sovereign Somali nations that decided to unite. Many countries decide to unite. Many companies decide to unite. It was a voluntary union. It was not a conquest of one country over the other. But that union didn't work. And when Somaliland tried to withdraw from that hasty, failed union, Somalia took objection to it and placed itself in a position of ownership over Somaliland, which it does not have.
You've invested a lot of time, a lot of effort,
yes.
A lot of encouragement and campaigning
yes.
in trying to build better healthcare in communities, better education.
Yes.
Have you seen over your career much of a success in yielded from your efforts?
Oh yes, Somaliland today has universities, has schools, has hospitals. Somaliland in 1991, when the troops of Somalia were ousted, was a country that was left for dead. It was flattened out. No functioning hospitals, no functioning schools. Today, Somaliland has more children going to school than have ever in the history of my country. Somaliland has, in fact, my little hospital, which is a referral hospital where many complicated cases are brought to, has managed to lower the maternal mortality rate of Somaliland to less than a quarter of the national average. It's something to be proud of. Women have the vote. Women have positions. I have women surgeons in my hospital who are able to operate and save lives.
Dr. Ismail, thank you very much for coming in to speak to us. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for.
It's a pleasure.
For the
Thank
moment.
you.
Well, finally, we head to Morocco, where the 33rd edition of the Race of the Sand was held this year. Our reporters headed out to join the athletes in the hotly contested race. Take a look.
Last training session before kickoff. Morocco's Marathon des Sables race is longer than 5 whole marathons. It's run under the burning sun and over scorching sand. A dream for some.
It was Maghalie's dream first, and then it became mine too. I was undergoing chemotherapy treatment at the time, and we used to run together. Maghalie suggested we enlist together with Tiffany, and we're all here today.
When she was fighting cancer, Cynthia drew much of her strength from sport. But running is just one part of the challenge here in the Sahara Desert. Athletes have to fight the elements too without getting any assistance. They have to carry everything they need for the race, including food, and this can weigh no more than 10 kilograms. Efficiency is key.
We found a system. We got lyophilized food, prepared it and compressed it into our backpacks and labeled it in bags with stickers indicating how much water we needed to add.
Planning time is far behind. Everyone is set to go and to let go of the stress. Some will try to break personal records, others hope to make it to the finish line. They have their maps and a number of stops on the way to get water and to treat their wounds. Temperatures hit 50 degrees Celsius around here, and that's tough on runners' feet. 6 hours later, Cynthia, Maghalie, and Tiffany cross the finish line.
We made it. Phase 1 is over.
Time to rest and check our feet.
They need all the rest they can get. They've got 5 more phases to go.
Thanks for joining us. Take care.